Hey guys, so in this lecture what we're going to do, we're going to be talking about block level functions. Again, we have already talked about how bindings work for blocks, especially the let and the constant. Now we'll try to see how functions behave inside a block. Now in ES3 and earlier, a function declaration occurring inside of a block level function was technically a syntax error, but all browsers still supported it. Unfortunately, each browser that allowed the syntax behaved in slightly different way. So it is considered a best practice to avoid function declarations inside of blocks. Now, in an attempt to rein in incompatible behavior, ES5 strict mode introduced an error whenever a function declaration was inside a block. So now you need to make sure that you understand what is a block level function. So if you can see this example, you just have an if loop, and in the if loop we have a function, so which means it's inside a block. So in ES5 this would have given you an error. Of course I cannot show it to you on CodePen, but in ES6 it will not give you an error. Now if you try to do something like this, let's do a console log of console.log of type of actually of do something, which is the method that we have, and you just do this and you should see it's a function. Now if you just do a do something call out here, which you will be able to do something and you will be able to make that call as well. But the moment you do the same console log outside the loop, it will be undefined. You can see it's an undefined because the do something is not available outside the loop. And of course this has to be in the strict mode, because if you remove the strict mode, let's say I comment this out, it will return your function. I'll explain you that too in detail, but just understand that in the strict mode, pretty much in ES5 that will have given you an error, but in the strict mode, even in ES6, the do something, it is available to you as a function even before you have it declared. One thing to understand is block level functions are hosted to the top of the block in which they are defined. So a type of do something returns a function even though it appears to be before the function declaration in the code. So once the if block is finished executed, the do something no longer exists outside. So if you do a do something call out here, the same type of, you should get an undefined. Now all that is in the strict mode. So you will ask when to use block level codes in your function or block level functions in your code. Now the simple answer would be block level functions are similar to let function expressions in that the function definition is removed once the execution flows out of the block in which it is defined. The key difference, however, is that the block level functions are hoisted to the top of the containing block. Functions expressions that use let are not hoisted, of course, because if you're using just like you did a variable assignment to a function, let's say variable x is equal to do something function, in that case x will be hosted to the top. But if you do a let assignment to it, let me show you an example. So the same example that we have, I'll just go here and just say let my function is equals to something. Now you can see I have assigned it to the my function variable. Now if I do this, even my type of do something will give me an exception because now it's not hoisted to the top and do something is not available to me. Similarly, if I do something outside the block also, it will not be available. It's time to talk about the use strict. So if you have the same code in the non-strict mode, let me comment it out. What happens? So ES6 allows block level functions in non-strict mode, of course, but the behavior is slightly different. Instead of hoisting these declarations to the top of the block, they are hoisted all the way to the top containing function or probably in the global environment. So let's say if I have something like this and instead of doing a let or something, I'll just remove this function. You can start seeing that both this console log, which is out here, as well as this console log out here, will start giving you function, which means the function do something is accessible to you even outside. Now that is a little different in ES6 in the non-strict mode. So this behavior is something that you need to keep in mind. ES6 standardized this behavior to remove the incompatibility that the browser behaviors that existed previously. So ES6 runtime should behave in the same way in all the browsers after this. Allowing block level functions improves your ability to declare functions in JavaScript. But ES6 also introduced a completely new way to declare functions, and that is what we are going to talk about in the next lecture. It's called arrow functions. So I'll see you in the next class.